Hey guys, welcome back to the Silent Broheen channel with another 50 warrior build. This is the second video I'm doing tonight with, for the chain of level 50 videos, so I can further progress the warrior without, having one spec be greater than another. So we're taking a look at the Tempest build tonight. However, I am not very familiar with Tempest, but this is how I run it. 51 Tempest, 15 Riftblade, and then Reaver as a third off spec. So put 5 in amped, 5 in long range training, 5 in enhanced power, 3 in difficult target, 1 in jolt, 2 in discharge defenses, 5 in bioelectric enhancement, 5 in ionized discharge, 3 in oscillation, 1 in storm shield, 3 in cyclonic fury, 1 in delayed pulse, 3 in grounded, 3 in stormbringer, 2 in quick recharge, 2 in polarization, 1 in increased voltage, 1 in double pulse. Now I don't know if I were to do this again here, just because I've played with it a little, I would sacrifice points in something else to increase increased voltage. So up to 3, right? So that way you get the extra critical hit damage and extra critical hit chance. But I was new to this build and I was kind of just going along as I could, putting points in what I thought would be good, and it seems to work out okay. The DPS is all right, but I barely ever use Tempest. Over on the Riftblade tree, 5 in elemental precision, 3 in elemental empowerment, 2 in burning blood, 5 in affinity. And I believe that's it. So, out of the Reaver tree, you get Soul Sickness. That's one of the buffs you use just for extra DPS. We'll get into the rotation and stuff later. But like I was saying with Tempest, I barely ever use Tempest. I have more fun in the melee spec for Warrior. I mean, in my opinion, Warriors should be melee spec. They shouldn't really have a spec like this. I see a lot of people just bitching about the burst damage about Tempest, so I'm kind of trying to figure out where that's coming from, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to wait to figure that out and make the video at level 60. So, getting into the spec, we're going to use, for buffs, Enhanced Conductivity, Empower, Electromagnetic Shield, Avatar of Wind, and Stormblade. Now, the Electromagnetic Shield can be switched out with Close Training. These two are exact opposites of each other. They both increase the damage done by 10%, but one reduces range damage, the other reduces melee damage. Now, Tempest is a range spec, so typically I run the reduction to range damage because other people are going to be shooting at you. But in the fact that you are in close quarters, just quick throw on Close Training, you'll be good to go. As far as this goes, it's on no global cooldown 30 seconds. It's a raid buff. It increases all of your party or raid members' crit chance by 5% with ranged attacks for 15 seconds. Also increases your own critical hit chance by 10%. Actually, instead of increasing yours by 5, yours is increased by 10. Everybody else's is increased by 5. So let's open up macros before I go into... God, that's second video for 2 that I failed to open the macro screen first try. That's awesome. So, alright, our spam. We're going to show Flame Spear. Only reason being is because you can choose to have it show like delayed pulse or charge pulse, so when that comes off cooldown, but I keep those up here. I actually put Flame Spear up here just because I was testing something along with these. So we can just get rid of those so it doesn't look so hectic. But I show a Flame Spear, that way I know when it's at the end of the macro, because with being ranged, a lot of times you're just kind of looking around the screen at things, mechanics, whatever it may be, other players, and you're not really paying attention to when your spells are working. You're kind of just relying on the macro. So I show Flame Spear. You can show something else if you'd like, but this is what I do. Suppress macro failures. First one's going to be a cast of delayed pulse, then cast charge pulse, cast double pulse, cast dual pulse, cast soul sickness, cast jolt, cast flame spear, cast shock pulse, and cast searing strike. So most of these abilities have a 15-second cooldown. Delayed Pulse has a 30-second cooldown, but it doesn't hit immediately, so you can put it on somebody and they probably won't even realize it's on them until a few seconds later. All of a sudden, boom, they're hit with a ton of damage. So, and to be exact, you know, it does 14 air damage after 5 seconds, and it applies a root. So you hit people with that, and they don't know they have it on them. They're running wherever they're going to run. All of a sudden, bang, hits them for lots of damage and roots them. And they're kind of like, what the hell is going on? If they have a, it's awesome because if they have a break free built into their macro like my Warlord does, you'll make them waste a break free on it. So, but however, if you use it in that aspect, you're also wasting a 30-second cooldown. So, I mean, the damage isn't that great from it, but in combination with everything else, by the time you hit your delayed pulse, you're already casting 1.5 second cast time charge pulse, and the double pulse is no global cooldown. Immediately can only be used after a charge pulse. So along with the charge pulse, the double pulse, you're casting dual pulse. All those three pretty much right at the same time. Delayed pulse is casting. So it's pretty bursty for what it is anyways. The finisher, show Skyfall, suppress macro failures, cast Skyfall, cast Shock Pulse, cast Searing Strike. And if you're wondering why I do these two here, is because if I'm accidentally hitting that button trying to cast a finisher, but I'm not paying attention to my my 3 combo points, it'll cast Shock Pulse if I'm at range. If I'm close, it'll cast Searing Strike, and those are instant cast. So that way I'm not, you know, caught here with my pants down, you know, trying to cast a finisher and absolutely doing no DPS. That's my cure for that. I don't remember where I saw that tactic, but I did see it somewhere, and I was like, hey, that's an awesome idea. So spreading the word here, you know, that's something you should probably do for every macro on every character if it's possible, just to cover your ass. So those are the only 2 macros. We also have a Lightning Torrent down here, which is kind of like, oh, I forget what spell. It's kind of like, nah, I'll think of it later. If I remember, I'll post a comment, but I can't remember. If I had to say, it's kind of like a Void Life from a Coolermaster. So it's pretty much, you can run around with it, which I know a Coolermaster can't do. But oh, it's like Strafe from a Rogue. There it is. So you can run around while you're using this channel. It's a 3-second channel, very high damage over 3 seconds. So it requires your melee weapon, but has a really good range of 35 meters. So every time you get through your main spam macro and you notice yourself only casting shock pulses, there's probably going to be like a 15-second lull in there where you're only casting shock pulses. Use a Lightning Torrent, it'll do lots more damage, and then it'll build your attack points every second, so then once it's done, since it's 3 seconds, you can hit them with a Skyfall, then you can start doing shock pulses again. So that's that. Thunder's Kick I keep here just because knockbacks are funny in PvP. I don't use it much though, but and the fact that I do, like if you're in Codex and you can knock somebody off the cliff, that's awesome. I keep Electricity Blast, Offensive Blast, and Chain Pulse down here because if I have to use it against a group of enemies, whether it's PvE or PvP, you hit the group with Electricity Blast for it's a dot, and then Offensive Blast is just an instant. You continuously cast that up to 3 attack points, then hit with a Chain Pulse and just refresh your dot every time. 15 seconds is about up. So you can use it either for AoE a little bit or single target. So you guys can decide how you want to use the spec and, you know, go from there. So rotation wise, main spam, use your Skyfall, your finisher macro. Once this macro is done and you're just casting shock pulses, use your Lightning Torrent, rinse and repeat. Beginning of every fight, if you want to do more damage, hit your focus fire every 30 seconds. So, alright, we're going to check out rotation here. This is going to be interesting because I haven't used this spec in about 10 levels. So, we'll see how it turns out here. So, it's all ranged. So you don't want to be up close. It's going to buff up real fast. And we're going to start hitting. Alright, use a Skyfall. Continue. When you see your Flame Spear used up, that's when you want to hit your Lightning Torrent. Skyfall. Looks like it's starting over here. Really energy starved is what this spec is. I'm finding out. Be good if you have a Coolermaster with you for living energy. So, yeah, you see how bursty it was. If you rewind the video a little bit, look at my DPS meter. I did see myself up to, I want to say, I'll have to go back and look at this because I didn't quite catch it either. But I want to say I was up to close to 2400 DPS on the burst. And then once I started getting energy starved, it fell off. So, Tempest, in my opinion, here. If you want something that is only good for burst damage, single target, this is your thing. If you want something that's going to maintain high DPS, don't use a Tempest. Use my Warlord build or my Paragon build, and you know, go from there. So, but I did also notice I forgot to hit this, but it's not a big deal. This is just a tutorial video. Just make sure you hit focused fire when you're going into, you know, into the battle. So. But anyways, this concludes the video for Tempest. Again, you know, very versatile. Either AoE, you can maintain some solid AoE without having energy starving issues, or you can burst with it really well. At least at this level, my opinion, only good for burst. So, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you like what we're doing as a channel, you're going to want to subscribe because we are having that 1000 plat giveaway coming up next week sometime. And you guys have an awesome day and have some fun trying out Tempest and bursting people in PvP. Thanks for watching.